The dark tale of Willow House had spread beyond the town's borders. Whispered from one person to another among the local residents, Willow House, an ancient mansion, had to crumble over the years with shattered windows and peeling walls. Legends of the mansion's grim history and the chilling events that occurred within its walls had circulated for generations. Willow House had been abandoned for as long as anyone could remember, except for the occasional daring teenager who ventured inside to prove their bravery. Many claimed to have felt eerie whispers, seen shadowy figures, and experienced an overwhelming sense of dread. One fateful night, for friends Sarah, Mark, Emma, and John decided to explore Willow House, armed with flashlights and driven by youthful curiosity. They cautiously entered the decaying structure. The air inside was damp and smelled of decay, yet they pressed on, determined to uncover its secrets. As they ventured deeper into the mansion, they sensed an unsettling chill that seemed to seep into their bones. The walls were covered in peeling wallpaper, and the creaking floorboards echoed with each step. It was as if the house itself had come to life, watching their every move. Sarah led the group up a grand spiral staircase, its steps groaning under their weight. On the second floor, they stumbled upon a room that appeared untouched by time. The furniture was perfectly preserved, covered in dusty white sheets. Emma uncovered a mirror on the wall, and when she glanced at her reflection, her eyes widened with terror. In the mirror, instead of her own face, she saw the twisted visage of a ghastly figure standing behind her. Emma let out a blood-curdling scream, and the friends turned to see the shadowy figure materialize before them. It had hollow eyes that seemed to pierce their very souls, and it reached out with bony, elongated fingers. The friends bolted down the stairs, their hearts pounding, and fled the house as they burst through the mansion's front door. They realized they were no longer in the same world they had entered from. The sky was an eerie shade of red, and the town they had known had vanished. Desperate to escape, they tried to re-enter Willow House, but the door wouldn't budge. They were trapped in a nightmarish dimension, and the malevolent presence of the mansion was closing in on them. Days turned into weeks as they struggled to survive in this otherworldly realm. The once close friends began to turn on each other, paranoia and fear consuming their sanity. The relentless haunting by the shadowy figure never ceased, driving them to the brink of madness. One by one, they succumbed to the horrors of Willow House, disappearing into the darkness until only one remained. It was John, the last survivor, who had become a hollow shell of his former self, haunted by the relentless malevolence of the mansion. As John wandered the desolate, twisted landscape, he realized that there was no escape. Willow House had claimed them all, and he was destined to roam its cursed halls for all eternity, a prisoner of its malevolent force. And so the legend of Willow House lived on, a chilling reminder to all who heard the tale that some horrors are better left undisturbed. For once you enter its haunted halls, you may never escape. For weeks, John wandered the twisted dimension, tormented by the relentless haunting of Willow House. His once rational mind had descended into madness, and he could no longer distinguish between reality and the nightmarish realm he was trapped in. The days and nights blurred together, and he could no longer remember what his friends had looked like. One day, as John aimlessly roamed the surreal landscape, He stumbled upon an old journal, partially buried beneath a pile of decaying leaves. The journal belonged to a previous visitor of Willow House, someone who had also fallen victim to its malevolent curse. As he read the journal's entries, John's blood ran cold. The journal detailed the story of a man named Samuel, who had ventured into Willow House years ago with his friends, just like John and his companions. Samuel had been the sole survivor of his group, and he, too, had been trapped in this nightmarish dimension ever since. His entries grew increasingly erratic, filled with desperation and despair. In the final pages of the journal, Samuel had written about a potential way to break the curse. He had discovered that Willow House drew its power from a hidden, otherworldly source deep within its decaying walls. It was said that destroying this source would release the trapped souls and free anyone who had been ensnared by the mansion's malevolence. Armed with newfound hope and determination, John embarked on a perilous journey back into Willow House. He faced nightmarish apparitions and endured unspeakable horrors. As he made his way to the mansion's hidden heart, there, in a long-forgotten chamber, he found the source of the cursed, twisted, pulsating, otherworldly entity that radiated malevolence. Summoning all his strength and courage, John confronted the entity, unleashing his inner rage and resolve with a final, desperate act. He destroyed the entity, shattering it into 1,000 fragments of darkness. As the entity disintegrated, the nightmarish dimension around him began to crumble, its distorted reality unraveling. Suddenly, John found himself back in the real world. Standing outside Willow House, the mansion itself began to crumble, its dark energy dissipating into the wind. The curse had been broken, and the malevolent presence that had plagued the house for centuries was no more. Gasping for breath, John realized that he was free, that he had escaped the clutches of Willow House's curse. The town had returned to its normal state, and the once dilapidated mansion had vanished into history. As the years passed, the legend of Willow House faded into obscurity, a dark chapter in the town's history. John, haunted by the memories of his ordeal, kept the journal as a grim reminder of the horrors he had endured. He vowed never to speak of his nightmarish experience, hoping to protect future generations from the malevolent force that had plagued the mansion. And so Willow House stood as a silent, crumbling testament to the terrors of the past, its secrets buried forever, its curse finally broken by the courage and determination of one man who had dared to confront the darkness within.